Hi, first grade. Happy Monday. This week, we are going to add on to our previous knowledge of subtraction. Back in Unit 1, we learned some important vocabulary that we need in order to solve our subtraction problems. And before we start solving some subtraction action problems today, we need to review that vocabulary. Will you help me if you remember those vocabulary words that we learned in Unit 1? In a subtraction problem, there are 5 parts. I have this one subtraction problem written down, and I have put each part of the problem in a different color. This first part of a subtraction problem is called the whole. This number is what we're starting out with, okay? Our whole, that's what we're starting with. We're starting with 7. The next part of a subtraction problem is the part that we're taking away from the whole. This is called the part. The part is what we're taking away from the whole. So I am starting with 7, and I'm taking away 4. Does anyone remember what the sign is called for subtraction? You're so right. So smart. It's called a minus sign. Anytime we see this sign, we know that we're going to be subtracting or taking away. Our second sign in a subtraction problem is a sign that we see a lot in math. It's called the equal sign. And the number that comes right after the equal sign is our answer to the subtraction problem, and we call this the difference. I want to show you something pretty cool. So we start with 7, and we're taking away part of it. We're taking away 4. So the difference, or the answer to this problem, if you add the part and the difference together, it equals our whole. 4 plus 3 is 7. So you can always double check your work with that. Today, we are going to be solving subtraction action problems with math tools. The math tools that your designer gave you a couple weeks ago are things that we need that can help us solve math problems. We talked about how we each have our own imaginary toolbox. And that toolbox is kind of like maybe a toolbox that you have at home. If mom and dad need to hang a picture in the house, they might go get their toolbox and get out a hammer and a nail to hang that picture because they need those tools to hang the picture in the house. Well, we are mathematicians, and we also need a toolbox, and we need tools in our toolbox that can help us solve math problems. These are called Unifix cubes, and you each were given 20 of these. Today, we are going to be working with a strategy that you might remember from a time that we've worked with it before. It's called read it, represent it, and solve it. These 3 parts are how we can solve a subtraction problem. And we're going to use these math tools to help us. Now, the first step in this strategy is called read it. When we're given a subtraction action problem, we need to read the problem, and we want to make a visual picture in our brain of what we're reading. So I'm going to read this problem out loud, and I want you to make that visual picture in your head. Are you ready? I made 4 cookies. Oh, so I'm making a visual in my head of me pulling out 4 cookies out of the oven. My brother ate 2. Oh my goodness, does anyone else have a sibling that will come and take things of yours or maybe eat food that you just made? I know that if I make cookies, my brother will come and steal some. So I'm visualizing him taking 2 of those 4 cookies. How many cookies are left? Okay, I read my problem. I made my visual picture in my head. Now let's go to the next step. Represent it. Is anyone else making the connection? We've represented numbers before. We learned so many different ways that we can represent numbers. And today we are going to represent or show our subtraction problem with our math tools. I'm going to read the problem again, and I'm going to represent the math problem with my Unifix cubes, and I want you to watch me see how I do it. I made 4 cookies, so I need to get 4 of these because each one is going to represent 1 cookie. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, here are my 4 cookies that I'm representing. My brother ate 2. Oh man, 1, 2. So I need to take these away. These are the cookies that were taken. I'm going to label my picture. And these are the ones that are left. How many cookies are left? Well, I know that these are the only ones left because my 2 were taken. So let's see how many were left. 1, 2. Okay, so I know that there were only 2 left. I represented my picture with my math tools. Let's go on to the last step. Solve it. Okay, I need to solve it, but I need to solve my subtraction problem and put each of my parts into it. We just went over our parts of a subtraction problem. So watch me solve this one. The whole is my first part of a subtraction problem. My whole of this problem is 4 cookies because that's how many cookies I started out with. So 4, I know I'm subtracting, minus, and the part is the amount that were taken away. My brother took away 2. So 2 is my part. Okay, I need my sign so that I know I can solve it. And my answer is how many are left, my difference. Well, I can see right here from my representation, there are only 2 left. I circled it. 2. Now, I put each part of the subtraction problem here in my solve it column. Do we remember that trick that I taught you at the very beginning? This is what we start off with. This is what we take away. And this is what we end up with. If I add these 2 together, the part and the difference, I can make my whole again. I can double check my work. So I'm going to add 2 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it equals my whole, so I know I'm right. Let's try another example, but this time I want you guys to help me. The first step is read it. Will you read this problem with me out loud? Ready? My sister gave me 10 crayons. Ooh, is anyone else making that visual in their head right now of 10 crayons? 5 crayons broke. Oh man, I do not like when my crayons break. Does anyone else have crayons that maybe they've accidentally pushed too hard on and they break? So I can have a visual of 5 of these crayons breaking. How many crayons are not broken? Okay, we read our problem. Step 1 is done. Now let's go to step 2. What is step 2? Represent it. And we need our math tools to represent our math problem. So show me with your fingers, what is our whole for this problem? How many crayons am I starting out with? My sister gave me 10 crayons. That's my whole, so I need 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, here are my 10 crayons. I'm representing my 10 with my math tools. Okay, now we need to take away how many crayons broke, because that's going to be my part. That's how many I'm taking away from my 10. Show me with your fingers. What is my part in this problem? 5. 5 crayons broke. So I have to take those away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the crayons that are not broken. And these are the crayons that are. Now I'm going to label so that I know. Broken, left, and I'm going to circle to show that all the ones in here are the ones that are left. Okay, last part. How many crayons are not broken? Well, these are the ones that are broken, so I need to count the ones in this, the ones that are left. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many crayons are not broken? 5. Awesome. We read our problem, we represented it. Now we need to solve it. Now, we just learned the parts of a subtraction problem, and we need to put all of those parts to solve our problem. So we're going to start with the first part, which is our whole. What was my whole in the problem? 10. Good. Now I know I'm subtracting, so I'm going to write minus. Now what's my part? How many were taken away? How many broke? 5. I know I need my equal sign because we're about to solve it. Now my difference is how many are not broken. That's my answer. How many crayons are not broken? How many are left? 5. Great job. Now let's double check our work. I need to add these two numbers together and make sure that it equals 10. What's 5 plus 5? 10. I can skip count. 5, 10. So am I correct? Yes. Did I read? Did I represent? And did I solve it? Yes. Great job.